And okay, wonderful. And officially, welcome everyone to the last day of the Team Coaching Global Summit. We cannot tell you how excited we are and how amazed we are, and also surprised that we are still here. And let's move on with the introduction. What do we have in store for you? This is our first session for today, and this is about team coaching and conflict. And the question is, how far can it go? With Eva Hirsch Pontes and Susemihl, I'm definitely say that wrong. And this is 𝗘𝗃 𝗛𝗶𝗿𝗀𝗀 and 𝗙𝗃 from the Team Coaching Global Alliance hosting this session. Feel free to say hi in the chat and where you are joining us from. In this session, we will have 60 minutes together. Please keep your microphone on mute to avoid distractions. During the session, our experts will ask you some questions. You are invited to put in the chat your answers and reflections on these questions. After the presentation, we will come back to these comments and any question you might have. The session is recorded. If you don't want to appear on the video, please turn your camera off. And let's start with our introductions. Eva Hirsch Pontes is an executive and team coach, supervisor, trainer, and conflict mediator. After 3 decades as an executive in the corporate world, she shifted her focus to human development, where she has worked for the past 20 years. Eva holds the MCC and ACTC credentials from the ICF and the ESIA accreditation from the EMCC. She is co-editor of Ethical Case Studies for Coach Development and Practice that was published last year, and she integrates systemic perspective with a deep rational presence. She lives between Brazil and Germany, working internationally in English and Portuguese, and is a faculty member of the Team Coaching Global Alliance. Also, Eva is a dancer. That's something that we don't have here, but yeah, we like to acknowledge. Peter is a conflict mediator, executive coach, and organizational development consultant. An associate of EcoSocial for 17 years, he has worked with global and Brazilian organizations. He graduated in business administration from FGV. He was an entrepreneur in the education sector for over 20 years. Peter is trained as a biographical counselor, organizational consultant, and coach with over 3,000 coaching hours and ICF accreditation. He's certified as an advanced mediator by the ICF-ML. He coordinates the organization mediators training and promotes deep transformation processes in organizations in Brazil. We are very excited to have you with us, and without further delay, we are going to give the microphone and stage to you, Eva and Peter.
Thank you very much, 𝗙𝗃. Wonderful to see so many people from so many parts of the world. A pleasure to be here. Thank you, Carl and 𝗙𝗃, for the invitation for the summit. We have a lot to cover, so I'll start sharing some slides to get our conversation going. So many of you will be familiar with the ICF team coaching competencies. And for the purpose of today, I'm drawing your attention to 2 specific ones, although others might be related to our topic. But let's start with this one, which is in competency 4, trust and safety. So the team coach should partner with the team to identify and resolve internal conflict. And also in competency 6, listens actively, the team coach encourages the team to own the dialogue. And let me stop sharing because these are, for the moment, the 2 ones I had to share with you. And I've always thought when I read these competencies, but at any moment, are all the conflicts the same? Being a conflict mediator, I always question myself, where are the limits? So when I learned about this summit, I invited Peter, who was also my teacher when I was certified as a conflict mediator, and with whom I learned the model Peter is going to present. I said, Peter, let's dance together. Would you like to do it? And he said, absolutely yes, for which I'm really grateful. And then Peter and I have prepared a case study which will help us understand the model that Peter will also be presenting. As Katharina has said, we will invite your reflections during the presentation, and at some point we'll come back to your answers and any other question. So Peter, what would you like to add?
Thank you, Eva. It's just to say it's an enormous pleasure to be at your side, partnering here with you in this task, and also grateful to Katharina and Karl for the invitation. And I think I will take over now, Eva, with this small introduction, like telling that I, as a mediator, it's not only as a mediator that I encounter conflict, and I'm sure it's the same with all of you. And when working as a coach or as a consultant, very often, unfortunately maybe, but it is so, I am surprised by encountering conflict. Tension rises, the atmosphere becomes heavy, and dialogue becomes harsh, and so on. And this happens very often, even when I'm not working officially as a mediator. And we can imagine this happens to you all too, not only, of course, when working as team coaches or whatever, but also in private life. So what we did, we prepared a case for you to reflect on, a case in which, of course, this happens, tension comes up, and we will present you then a model I've been working with a lot. It's very organizing for me, a model which shows how conflicts typically escalate, the internal logics of conflicts if we don't pay sufficient attention, or if we don't act upon them the way they need and their different degree of escalation. Being a model, of course, the idea is it will help you to gain more understanding and to look maybe on an expanded way on the situations you are facing, and not the model doesn't want to give answers, definitive answers. It will just wants to enhance your consciousness about what you're dealing with. So this is our plan for today. And I would like to add a question for all of you. Hearing me saying that, how do you typically react when tensions come up, when you notice, oh, it's not going as smooth as I wanted to? How do you react? Maybe you even remember a recent situation in which this happened. And it would be nice to hear or to read in the chat some of your experiences with what I right now told you. And we will be looking at the chat while Eva takes over. Okay, Eva?
Yeah, thank you. So do type in your answers, be curious, but let's start with a case. So a team coach gets an email from a company with whom they've worked before. And this is the email. Subject, request for team coaching support, 𝗙𝗃𝗏 project team. Dear team coach, I have to move this from here, otherwise I can't see it. Okay. We would like your support with a 6-person team at 𝗙𝗃𝗏𝗏 Biotech based on our past positive experience with you. The team is leading a breakthrough cell therapy project. The leader from marketing was appointed by the CEO to deliver quickly and manage shareholder expectations. A clinical specialist was added to ensure regulatory compliance. Other members report finance and operations. The team meets weekly. Early on, differences in priorities surfaced. The leader focused on deadlines and budget, the specialist on trials and compliance. Though meetings remained professional, they became tense and time-consuming. As planning progressed, the same debate intensified. The specialists requested more resources. The leader held firm on budget. Other members began expressing doubts about the team's ability to deliver and approached HR today, concerned about deteriorating dynamics. In our fact-finding, we learned the leader moved ahead without full alignment, while the specialist became working independently on compliance. We believe team coaching can help realign the team. Can we talk tomorrow? Kind regards, Mary Jo, HR business partner for 𝗧𝗏𝗃. So you've heard the first chapter of this story. There'll be a second chapter. But for now, let's go back to Peter, who will introduce, after you've heard this first part of this case, he will introduce you to the model created by Friedrich Glasl. Peter, back to you.
Yes, good, Eva. Eva, I was looking at the chat while you told the case, which I already know, of course, and the reactions were very nice to see, from like, I feel uncomfortable, which is a good thing to do, like accepted that it's taken you by surprise. And I see acceptance and the tendency just to stop, to reflect, and to keep some silence, which is, I think, already in the direction we want to move and suggest here. So, and then I take over and tell you about this very nice looking gentleman. You certainly agree with me. This is Friedrich Glasl. He was born in Vienna. He is Austrian. He was born during the Second World War. And although being very young then, he was very much impressed by the effects on the war, on his family life. His father, who had some function in the war, not at the front, but the life was deeply affected. And in the end, he dedicated his life to study conflict. He achieved a doctoral degree in that. He co-founded a consultancy, a very relevant European consultancy company, in which he further developed models to work with conflicts. And he had he edited books, and he partnered with several teachers, of course, also, and one of them was our teacher, Eva's and mine. And he also, at the same time, in parallel, he taught at relevant European universities, was also a visiting professor in several countries. And even recently, he is already of a certain age, he received a Life Achievement Award from a German Federation of Continuing Education Organizations. So this is Mr. Glasl. And then the next slide, please, shows the model we are going to show you. You may already show the whole ladder. You see, as we would expect, the ladder goes downwards. And if you see the last word, you don't have to read it all now, we will talk about it. But if you see the last word down there, it's abyss. So I think we all know this, unfortunately, from experience or just from looking around or reading news or watching the news, where conflicts can take people, groups, organizations, and nations. And so you don't need to care now to understand all these words here. It's just to show you that's the model. And Friedrich Glasl found out there's a logic. If we don't really take care And if we are not able to say, oh, I'm uncomfortable, or oh, this needs a reflection, this needs a time of silence for me to understand what's going on, the conflict will sort of, through an internal logic, develop into deeper grades and deeper stages, and certainly each one is less pleasant than the one before. So could you now start showing, please? I think you are, Katerina, passing the slides. So in the beginning, of course, every starts very nice. We know somebody, or we have a new team, or we work with a new client or a new partner, and we say, oh, so nice people, so intelligent, or so nice to get along with, oh, so funny, and okay, but probably very soon we notice people are humans, human beings as we are, and then there comes the first disappointment. Oh, but he thinks that's a strange thought, or that's a strange way of seeing things, or that's different from the way I think. So the first sort of retraction, now the next image, please, the next sentence, please. Some hardening happens because I just, my body maybe even physically moves some centimeters back. Oh, it's not exactly that perfect, that marvelous as I thought. And this, it seems such a simple event, but really this may be the beginning of something that escalates into a deep and not pleasant situation. So the next slide, please. If we don't take enough care at this moment, we will simply automatically start to affirm our points of view, our opinions in a more intense way. We may even get a little unpleasant and harsh, but still in the conversation, the focus is on our issues, and we are sure that we will solve these issues through conversations, through discussions. That's not, we don't feel really a menace, it's just unpleasant. And the feeling that comes with us here is, and the next line now, we begin getting impatient, a little annoyed, and internally there's a voice saying, oh, it seems to take them some time to understand that I'm right. That's strange, but I'm sure in the end I'll prove my ideas are good and I'm right and they will understand me. That's okay. If I don't deal with this appropriately, probably things will get more intense because, of course, the other part reacts in a similar way to me, also stating more intensely their point of view and their convictions. And so slowly, our conversation becomes a debate, and we start to struggle for showing each other who really understands the subject, who is better prepared, who has the better background, who has the better foundations to what he's saying. And we notice it's something you experience as an observer, but who is in there very seldomly is aware of what's going on, but you notice as an observer that the focus is not only on the issue, on the subject, on the point in discussion, but it's shifting to, well, I have to affirm myself, or it's difficult here, or it's not going the way I would like, and mistrust takes over, and I'm really worried I have to assert my position, so I have to prepare better for the next meeting, and I have to have more good foundations and facts and data, and I have to express myself better. And if I'm just in this logic, of course, the other part will do the same, and then we come to the next step. And in the next step of the ladder, some part in some moment will start giving up. Oh, it doesn't really help me to discuss this. We've done this several times. I really don't seem to be understood. And things have to move on. We can't block this team's work or this company's work or this routine, this work. And we have to do something. So I simply move on and make my decisions. I arrange and find some people who think more like I do. So I start gathering some people around me who agree with me, and I communicate less to the so-called other side. So you notice parties are starting to build, and like when you are in one group and when you are in the other. And the feelings that accompany this, of course, are more intense now. It's really indignation, like, how is it possible? That person, he has such a good background, and I really trusted him, and it started all so well, but now I'm seeing he's not competent, or she or they are not competent enough, and we can't forgive this. We have to move on. We have to do things. And I will stop here. And I promise soon we will show the next degrees of the ladder, but Eva will bring you another part of the case, because meanwhile the case was also developing. So Eva, please.
Thank you, Peter. So before we go to the next part of the case, so now you know the case, and now you've seen that there's been some escalation of the conflict. And now you have new lenses to look at this client. So how confident do you feel to coach this team? This team is a single entity. So please type in your answer in chat. We would like to hear your replies. 0 means not confident at all. 5, very confident. So in that range, how would you rate yourself? And I'll stop sharing for a moment just to have a look at the chat, because it's always lovely to see the answers. And when I'm presenting, I was presenting, Peter, couldn't read it. So 2, not terribly confident. 3 to 4, let me go from up. So confident, 3, 3, 4, 3 to 4, 2, 3, 4, oh, 4, 3, 3 to 4, 3, 3. So average 3, okay? Some people are 4, some people are 2, but let's say our average for the time being is 3 in terms of confidence. Great. So you're the team coach. You got the first email from Mary Jo. And then this is what happened after you got her email. So I just need to move this. So immediately after the first email, the one I read before, the team coach, you, spoke with Mary Jo and confirmed the engagement. The team coach then interviewed all team members to understand their perspectives and how team coaching might support them. Everyone seemed receptive, seeing team coaching as a way to realign around their shared purpose. Very positive response. 3 weeks later, and that is 2 days before the first team session, the coach received a new email from Mary Jo. So suppose today it's Tuesday, and you're meeting the team on Thursday, and you got a new email from Mary Jo, which is urgent update. Request for call before Thursday. Dear team coach, I'm glad you'll be meeting the team this Thursday and wanted to share key developments since your interviews. 3 weeks ago, after your interviews, 2 team members told me the leader and clinical specialist have been voicing frustrations through internal allies and now communicate mostly via intermediaries. 2 weeks ago, the specialists raised concerns at an industry forum. Although 𝗙𝗏𝗺 wasn't named, their remarks were widely perceived as insinuating ethical issues within the company. The CEO later told me the leader suspects the specialist may have a hidden agenda. Last week, the specialist warned the team they might report to regulators if issues persist. Given this sequence of recent events, could we speak this afternoon? I'd like to ensure I can support you as you begin this engagement. Kind regards, Mary Jo. And there you go. So now, please type in your answers to these questions.
Marion asked if you could go back a slide. If Marion is about the second email, I also copied that in the chat.
Okay. So shall I go back to, can I go to the questions, Katerina?
Marion, are you okay? Reaction. I think we can move on.
Okay. Let me know, Katerina, if I need to go back again, please. So we have two questions for you. That's what's at stake now. Stop and reflect for a moment. What do you think is at stake with the recent developments reported in the second email? And for the sake of time, I'm going to give you the second question. Although I know you need time to reflect. So we are doing okay with time. I'll give you another 10 seconds before I give you the second question. Of course, I can't read them, but I'll have a look later. So here's the second question. How confident do you feel now? Has it changed after these developments? So before you were a 2 or a 3 or a 4, how would you rate your level of confidence now? We're curious to know. Just say more or less or same, because we cannot compare your previous answer. You can think of the grade, but just let us know. Did it increase, decrease, remained? And then, Peter, back to you. What happens when we get to run 4 of the ladder?
Yeah, so possibly some of you recognized having seen similar things as narrated by Eva right now, things getting less pleasant, and we will see if this, the next steps of the ladder will help us. There was a question a little earlier, a few minutes ago, if this is the so-called stages in conflict, and which is probably the name you know, because the book by Friedrich Glasl is already a few decades on the market. It has been translated into several languages, and so that's probably the model you have seen somewhere else. It's quite known and among consultants or conflict mediators at least. And it's still valid because of its really clear logic we see confirmed frequently. So if we don't take care in the last stage, where I really started doing things on my own without talking to my colleagues, and because I thought things have to go on, now me and the guys who are with me, the guys that think like that is the good guys, we start also talking more about this. So the focus clearly is not very much on the subject anymore, but it is on talking about the others. And we spread some rumors. It looks like even campaigns, because the group around me thinks very similar to me. Of course, there's the other group around the others doing the same. And so images start to crystallize, like the good ones, the bad ones. For us, it's clear who the good ones are and the bad ones are. And of course, if you in your company and in your team, in your group, want to start something new, have a new idea, have a new project, and then you are faced with part of the people in the company seeing you as the bad guy, as the one that doesn't have the competency, the one that sabotages, the guy that's always against the good ideas, probably your projects won't make progress. So it's the so-called self-fulfilling prophecies working at this stage. And the feelings that are present here, of course, they go deeper. Katerina, would you show the next one? Thank you. The disillusionment is growing. And really, I don't have any illusions anymore. I can't trust. I don't trust in the people's points and the others' points of views and the way they deal with things. I don't even trust their intentions. And if I'm at this point, it gets it can get worse if I don't stop to reframe the way of acting or my attitude. And going further, we get to the next stage, which is very serious even for mediators, which is loss of faith, because now I'm questioning the other people's honor, their integrity, their moral integrity. And I start first, maybe not in an open way, but I start to make accusations. The feelings are so bad that it's difficult to be in the same room with the people I am against or that are against me. And it really became a matter of ideology, of principles, of values for all of us. And the feeling is now of very deep mistrust. And I, for myself, and of course all the others probably too, come to the conclusions we have to do what it takes to come through, to make things work, to make the company continue, to make our department do its work, or each one of us do what we are here for. And the end honors the means is the way. And you see, it's a preparation for the verbal violence is now beginning to be also in acts and decisions and actions, things you do in the company. And if we don't stop, if we continue in this internal logic of conflicts, then we start threatening the others. And of course, the others threaten us back, and then we threaten more intensely. And sometimes, some moment, I have to prove that I'm not only threatening, that I'm not only saying things, but I'm capable of executing the threats. And so sanctions concrete ways and punishments start to be of the agenda. And the feelings, of course, go one step deeper. And now the next line, please, Katerina, is now I'm really angry, and maybe I'm bitter. And you see the word violence, like I have built for myself a situation in which I can tell myself violence is okay, violence is necessary, there's no other way out. Yes, and then here we are, Eva. Then, of course, there's a next slide I want to show you too, step by step, please. Because up to this degree, and we are not going to detail this more than level 6, because you can imagine level 6, 7, 8, 9, we will show you very briefly in a few minutes. But at this level, there are some specific turning points. So the first turning point is, as I said, when the focus is less and less on the subject we're discussing, and it is, oh, we are in a conflict, or we are having difficulties, or there are people who are bringing problems. And then there comes the next turning point in which I give up discussing. I don't really believe I will achieve things in conversations. And so there's no win-win mentality anymore, and we will talk about this a little further also. And the next turning point is, it's clear people don't find their way out by their own means. They continually react, and more intensely react to what's coming from both sides or from all the sides in the conflict. And it's like an automatic heating and of course, situation getting worse step by step. And the last turning point for us today here is when moral integrity is questioned. And it's very difficult for mediators to work when this has gone that far, and people are deeply hurt because they feel their best efforts and the things they believe at are questioned and are judged as problematic. And so this is where I stop and give the word back to Eva.
Thank you very much for a very clear presentation. I hope you've all enjoyed it. And now we have 15 minutes to have a look at your answers, because as I was presenting, I couldn't read them. And also to take any questions. Maybe Carl and Katerina can help us. We will share the name of the author and the book at the end. So we will be with you 15 minutes having a conversation now. And then we'll wrap up with a couple of more slides, and one of them will be the book and the author. But we've shared it. We've saved it for later. So, okay, what is at stake? Company's reputation, external stakeholders. Someone says, go back to contracting, but you haven't contracted yet. And that's the problem. You still haven't contracted at this stage. At stake, cultivate trust. Exactly, trust is at stake. Someone's integrity is being questioned. There are accusations of hidden agenda. So a lot of damage has been done. So some people are less confident, some people are the same, and some a little less. Mostly trust. Okay. Questions?
There is a question from George. At what stage do you feel or think that coaching isn't viable?
Peter?
Great, you brought this. I was paying attention to that one too, Katerina, because this is maybe the central question here. And this is why Eva asked about trust. How far can I trust myself, my approaches, my methodology, and my experience to deal with it when I face successive grades of difficulties and relationships? I think this is a very good question. We would like to answer them here, but it would be nice to hear some opinions, some points of view about this.
So are you inviting? Yeah, so George. Yes, George. George raised his hand, but it seems he's frozen.
Yes.
Okay.
It looks like.
Just write it, George. Yeah.
There he is. George, would you like to unmute and share?
Sorry about that. I mean, I think it depends on what the expectations are, and what you're trying to land here, because we're not there presumably to solve their conflict. We're there to help them understand what the interest and needs are. If the expectations of the sponsor is that, we're making the team work 100% well to deliver on X, then that's different versus like, how do we get these people, assuming these are the right people, given what's happened, the ability to reflect and see what they can salvage to move ahead. So I think it maybe goes back to that contracting question.
Yeah, that's good to review the contracting question, which may have changed by now. That's what you mean, George, isn't it? Good.
Yeah, there is a comment here saying I didn't see interview with the leader. So the leader of the team was interviewed. All participants were interviewed, and they were all apparently, but that was at the end of stage 3, before things moved, because things are dynamic. There is a dynamic. So someone has said, I would propose to move to mediation, step back, discuss with knowledgeable colleagues. That's very wise. You don't have to do things alone. Always go back and discuss, but love the step back. I would check again with the team lead, but you see, the team lead is one of the parties in the conflict, which makes it more complex. So Let me stress here, you still don't have a contract because you only have the interview, so you cannot yet go back to the contract. But going back to George, if you had already started and things had escalated, then how important it would have been to go back to the contract, yes, which only reminds us, always be contracting, the importance of a good, solid contract. In the presentation we had on the summit last week with Neil, he said to ask the team, what will be the first signs that something might be going wrong? And how will we do, what will we do to address these signs? What might the signs be and how will we behave? How can we notice the first signs? So that's a great contracting question. Provided you have already, but in this case you hadn't.
And talking about Neil, there is a comment, a series of questions from Neil Cotton on the chat. Confidence in what? My ability to take the team to a specific outcome. What are my attachments here? What is my gift to bring? What are the responsibilities here? So some questions.
Oh, Neil, you're there. Just reference to lovely to be. Great questions. So confidence in what? Well, the question, yeah, that's a great question. So, but then you have to have this conversation with yourself, right, Neil?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. So am I feeling confident? Okay, what does confidence mean right here, now? My ability? What are my attachments? What are my loyalties? So remember also, HR has called you because of your beautiful track record. So is that at stake too? So honest conversations with yourself. So supervision might also come in handy at some point here, right? But someone has asked the question, I don't know who it was, but I did see one of the questions was, does it mean that a team coach should be trained in conflict mediation?
Yeah, it's from Breen, related to George's question. Should team coaches have conflict resolution skills?
Peter.
Yeah. Well, what we are, our suggestion here is team coaches should at least have conflict awareness skills, and which means knowing what's going on and evaluating what's going on in contrast and comparison to your resources and your possibilities. So this would be the first thing. And of course, if you can go further and develop methodologies, my experience is that the mediation skills and team coaching skills, they are like they flow one into the other. It's just developing more skills starting from team coaching, going into places where you would usually not go. So it's like an ongoing, yeah, I don't know exactly the word now, but they are closely related, I would say. So there is a logic in developing as a mediator. If you are a team coach already, it makes sense. And it will probably broaden your possibilities and your confidence and your resources.
I think the key here is what you mentioned, Peter, is about conflict awareness. And one thing that we have mentioned in several other sessions, the courage to explore, the curiosity, to see what's going on. Now, the first brief, the first email was, the request was about team alignment. So that was something more clear, right? But if the brief and the request is conflict resolution, then it seems to me that it's a different, we can see, oh, that requires a different service. And it's not the confusion like, yeah, I can be a team coach and I can be a conflict mediator. And I know what I am hired to do here in this specific case.
Yeah, it must be very clear. And well, I'm advancing a little, but I think that's what it's about here. When new facts come in, what we are talking here should be the internal conversation of a team coach.
Yeah, I'd like to share my personal experience with that because I work mainly in the country, which is Brazil, where team coaching is not well known as it is in Europe and the United States. And there are people from other parts of the world that I know, because I've worked with people from other parts of the world, who report the same. So in my experience, first, all the briefing that I got from HR was quite often not clear. To your point, Katerina, they should say, but it isn't. And also, quite often, I would be asked to conduct a team building for communication skills, and it was being brought as a band-aid for deeper problems that needed conflict resolution skills. And that's when I decided to become a conflict mediator. It's not what I do. I don't have Peter's experience. I have mediated individuals in organizations and teams. So I have done some of it, but it became part of, I would say, to complement Peter's response, I would say it's a continuum, just like the modalities, and maybe it's useful also for building your business to have that in your portfolio, because it does come in handy. And to build my practice as a team coach in Brazil, it definitely did help. So, and that links back to the session of the summit we had on Friday on how to build your practice. They all talk to each other, and sometimes through conflict mediation with the team, then you can get to team coaching. It has happened with me. Other questions or comments? We have 3 more minutes. Yes, Neil.
Hi everyone. I'm just wondering in this, maybe because I noticed it myself, how much is it a danger when we put ourselves in some heroic position that we're going to bring peace? Can I ever truly bring peace if I'm not the one bringing violence? There may be something where I can raise someone's awareness, invite more options, more awareness of consequences. But actually back into what is my role within this? Because I feel that sometimes there can be an attachment to, if the team doesn't reach a peaceful solution, I failed. I have to do it this way to be successful. When how much of this is actually within my gift?
I don't think that there is that expectation. I'd love Peter to answer that with failures and successes. Peter usually mentions. What would be your answer to Neil, Peter?
Yeah, well, first of all, I see myself in what you're saying, and I think I have seen developing mediators. This is a very common risk, to be the one who saves and the one who brings peace and brings peace to the group, to the team, to the world. This is okay, but we can only do a very small part. And in the chats, I saw these 2 main directions. First, reassess. We have to stop and talk to whoever to understand more what's going on here. And the other one is really to take care to not continue on my usual approach. And even the third point is take care to see what's your task. And then we go into the direction of contracting again. What can be done here? What can be expected from myself? And can I make this clear to my clients, to the ones contracting or to the team I'm working with? That my role is only to try to help, and I'm not even sure how far we will get. And this is part of it. The more honest I can be about all this, it will make an enormous difference in my work. I'm not sure I addressed everything you said, Neil, but maybe part of it.
You certainly did, Peter. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Neil.
May I add here, and it has to do with everything that we are discussing and going back to the question, should conflict resolution? Well, conflict resolutions are not in the team coaching supplementary competencies, but it is there is coaching supervision. And we have the questions that Peter and Eva are sharing with us, and they are so helpful to ask and have the reflection with us. And we have our support system, the supervisor, to bring also these questions.
Yeah, thank you, Katerina. So I think we're going to move back to our last slides. And maybe it's useful, still to Neil's question, how does a conflict mediator work? And that's why I say it might be in the same continue. Giving the dialogue back to the people so they can own it. But there are special ways in which you help people listen to themselves. It's a different methodology. But again, you're partnering with them in conflict mediation to help them listen to themselves without the emotion, because there's too much emotion. And of course, when the brain is already covered in cortisol, we're not listening to the other party. And what conflict mediation does is say, there are two truths. His truth is his truth. This truth is true as well. Can you please listen to it? You don't have to agree, but make sure you've listened to it. So engage the brain so some listening can come back to place. And that's where I would like then to go back to our slides. Let me see here. There are a few elements that we would like to bring to your attention. So the first element is you had the interviews with the leader. You had a briefing. Everything was fine. You're about to meet the team for the first time for contracting 3 weeks from now. And the team, I'm sorry about that. The team has moved from what Glasl calls the win-win to the win-lose. They are no longer in a position that they want to own the dialogue because they don't trust dialogue anymore, because they don't trust the other person. So now the interest here is to win and not to have conversations, according to this model. So that is one way of looking at it. Has the team moved from win-win to win-lose? That means they don't want to talk to each other. Where's the trust? These are all lenses that as a team coach, you can perhaps use as you assess what is going on. Not that you need to be a conflict mediator, and we're not proposing that you are one. You don't have to do everything alone. But maybe, as someone said in the past, in the chat, partner with someone who knows about it. Apart from supervision, supervision will always be helpful, but also sometimes you encounter issues that belong to the domain of therapy, and you will have someone to refer to. The same might happen here. So it's just that you have the knowledge or new lenses to look at this from a different perspective. And Peter, how would you end this here?
Very briefly, Eva mentioned several times win-win, win-lose. So we won't give you the answer. As a team coach, you can work with teams which are up to degree 4, 5, 6 or whatever of the escalation, because it depends on many different things. We mentioned many of them, yeah, and the situation, of course, is always much richer than just the shortly mentioned topics of a model, but it should help you to think about it. So generally speaking, up to level 3 win-win, people should find their way back with a little help. And how nice is it when we are engaged as team coaches or as mediators in the first 3 levels of conflict, because it's not that difficult, and we can find access and to the people's will to dialogue. The win-lose from 4 to 6 is when really people are taken by conflict, and you have to consider different kinds of approaches. mainly, for example, just to mention one, is to work individually with the parts so that they become aware of what's going on before you put them together. And then you can evaluate it if it will ever be possible to put them in the same room, or if, when, and how are they prepared for it. And then there is, of course, the lose-lose. And we don't have to speak much about this when things are mainly out of control, and it's very, very difficult. That's why we have these big international conflicts ongoing for decades sometimes, when people have an enormous difficulty to find their way back. But I think that's good for now, Eva.
Thank you, Peter. So no conflict mediator will go into the lose-lose phase, and even conflict mediators will assess very carefully when and how to step in when it's win-lose. Yeah. It's a very delicate area. So this is the book, and we saved it for the end because we love that cartoon. Do we have a conflict, or does the conflict have us? So when you are in win-lose, the conflict has the team, and not the team has the conflict. That's one of the final messages, and that's the book in English, Glasel's book. You will get it in PDF. And our final message to you is there is no right or wrong one way of dealing it. We just wanted to tell you, stop, what's going on? Where might this lead us? And maybe recalculate. Thank you, and we're back to Katerina.
Katerina, you're
muted. You're muted.
Oh, that's a bigger. I was saying some brilliant things. So I was thanking you both, Peter and Eva, and I was also commenting what a timely topic to have during these times that we are going through. Although I'm surprised there was no such comment this time. We had similar comments last week. If you would like to get in touch to connect with Eva and Peter, please, we put also in the chat their LinkedIn profiles links, so feel free to reach out and learn more. And a warm thank you to all of you for being with us in this 6th day. Again, my brain and my mouth are not collaborating well, so we wish you a wonderful rest of the week, start of the week and the rest of the day. We have one more session for you coming up in an hour. So thank you again. We hope you really enjoyed this session. We're really grateful, Eva and Peter. It's a really important topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. It was nice to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you for your questions, for engaging with us.